Hello, Tim from Fair Play now on the 17th of May 2023, and just enjoying the second day, glorious day of my little cycling adventure. Going to be heading home soon though, but just had a little cycle along the Undercliff walkway, cycleway here just to the east of Brighton, and I'm nearly back at the marina. You can see the yachts probably in the background there, the masts at least, and that reminds me of an interesting little saying I heard not too long ago. Well, I suppose it was a few years ago. Never buy anything that floats, flies or fornicates. I'll let you work that one out and decide. But anyway, I went up there a little way and stopped at a tea hut just for a quick cup of coffee, and I sat down there enjoying the sunshine, enjoying the coffee, and there was a group of, well, three I think it was, older people, probably late 60s, early 70s, sitting at the next table, and they were talking about all the people they know who have had heart attacks. I think there was someone relatively young in their early 50s who's recently passed away sadly, and they were talking about loads of other people. They're talking about all the defib machines that are around now. Since when's that become a thing? You know, why has that become necessary? They're just everywhere now, and in fact it's becoming almost to the stage where they're like fire extinguishers. They were saying they have to be inspected like fire extinguishers have to be inspected. So that's an interesting one, isn't it? And another interesting thing they were saying is how one of them had a heart attack himself fairly recently on the golf course, and then he said when he went back there after he'd recovered a bit for another round of golf, within a month him having a heart attack there, another 4 people had had the same occurrence. I mean, honestly, and I play golf, and I know quite a few viewers play golf as well. When have we ever known, well, that'd make 5 in total, wouldn't it? 5 people to have the same kind of ailment on the same golf course within 1 month of each other. I would have thought that was pretty well unprecedented. Okay, I know with the age of these people these things happen, but when you consider people who play golf, they're fairly fit and healthy, and they were talking about people who were runners who have gone out for a run and come back and then had the same occurrence. It just seems to be so much of it now, to the point where there has to be these defib units absolutely everywhere, and yet, you know, there's just no kind of connecting of the dots. They're just talking about all of this stuff totally matter of fact, and in the case of this guy on the golf course and the other 4 people, he was saying, oh, that's sod's law, isn't it, that all these other people who have had the same occurrence as him within a month, that's his reaction to it, kind of making a joke of it, laughing a bit and saying sod's law, innit? And honestly, no dot connecting skills whatsoever. So this is interesting, isn't it? Not quite out of the marina area yet here in Brighton, and just came across this sign, Black Rock Rejuvenation of the marina, I take it, because it's about 40 years old now. I suppose looking a bit tired, but if that's the Black Rock, I think I might be avoiding this place in the future. So, as you can see, I'm back home off of my little micro adventure, and I can highly recommend these adventures. So, went off on my own. Lorraine stayed here, held the fort. She's basically got a lot less holiday pending than I have, so she can't come on some of these midweek jaunts with me. But I get back home, and she, pretty much the first thing she told me which is quite ironic after me talking about these people that I overheard when I was having a cup of coffee, is someone we know who is probably about my age, slightly younger than me, probably about 3 or 4 years younger than me, sort of pretty slim, quite a fit guy. Well, apparently he has just had, with that, and quite a shock really. Of course, he's pretty mainstream, so what will have been sort of taken. Now, like I say, you can't 100% link the two things together, but there just seems to be so many kind of fit, active people who are being affected by whatever this thing is. Well, I know what it is, you know what it is, but I've just got to speak a little bit cagey sort of thing. So another thing that my wife Lorraine was saying just as I got home is how she is struggling with her office's new computer system. So they've had this new computer system in for a few months, probably since the start of this year, and it's terrible. It's an absolute pig in a poke. It's just not fit for purpose. Her job's almost impossible. I mean, as a tradesman, it'd be a bit like me trying to go out there and do my work with a load of tools which are just horrible, blunt and just don't work properly. The screwdrivers are just all sort of knackered and can't sort of screw in screws or anything like that, and the pliers are sort of broken. Can you imagine trying to do your job with that? Well, that is kind of the problem that she's been having with this system over the last few months, and it's stressing her out quite a lot actually. But how many times have you heard that or even experienced it yourself? Even if you haven't had this kind of thing yourself, people, don't you? Whether it's your spouse or friends, etc., who work in an office and they've gone over to a new system and they complain about it. Oh, this new system that we've got here is just terrible. It just seems to happen so much of the time. And the thing is, the management are always really slow at acknowledging there's a problem, at recognising there's a problem. And it'd be one thing if after 3 months, maybe even after 6 months, they turned around and said, yeah, you know what, you're right, this thing is horrible, we can't use it, we're just going to go back to the old system, we're going to do some damage limitation, or we're going to try another system, but this thing is just useless, and we totally agree with you. No, they never do that, do they? You know this if you work in an office and you've experienced this. They're just so good at fobbing you off and, just give it another month, or just give it another couple of months and everything will be right as rain. And it never is. A lot of the time they end up buying another system or going back to the old system, but they've kind of wasted like a year, 2 years of all the staff tearing their hair out and all that kind of thing, and they just drag their feet endlessly, don't they? And that is to do with something that really only affects one company and maybe a few hundred employees and a few thousand customers perhaps. But these management types just seem to be so afraid of, obviously they don't want to lose money for their company, but they want to save face as well. And that is, for, in the grand scheme of things, a fairly small thing. So you probably know where I'm coming from with this. You can probably guess where it's leading, can't you? Just imagine if the management, we'll call them, of the entire country recognises there's a problem that doesn't just affect a few hundred or a few thousand people, but millions of people, and worldwide billions of people even. And just imagine, instead of the consequences being, just a lot of extra stress for the staff, and maybe poorer than normal service for the customers. Instead of the consequences being like that, they're really massively severe consequences for the customers. Just imagine if that was the case, just how slow the management, we'll call them, would be at, well, not even recognising the problem, acknowledging it. They'd drag their feet for so long, and then it'd be even longer before they started addressing the problem and taking steps to solve it. They just seem incapable of, first of all, recognising the problem and then taking damage limitation steps to mitigate the problem. So I think you know what I'm talking about, and given the fact that these management types are so slow at even acknowledging relatively small issues in a fairly small company, small to medium company, which Lorraine works for, they're certainly going to drag their feet when it's on a much bigger macro kind of scale, aren't they? So just a thought there. Interesting comparison I thought I'd make. Just kind of popped into my head to make this video when Lorraine told me about that, or reminded me of problems that she's currently got at work. So I'll let you chew that one over, and I'll be back soon. Tim from Fair Play Now. Thanks for watching.